Hi everybody, thank you for joining us on Grumpy Old Men. It's late on a Saturday afternoon. We were scheduled to do it yesterday and then something happened. Then somebody dropped in to see Steve. Then I had to go and get my hair done. And then somebody else dropped in to see Steve.
Yeah.
Then somebody dropped in to see me. And now it's late in the afternoon and what a day.
Yeah. We haven't stopped. I haven't stopped. Yeah.
So
it goes and goes and goes and goes and goes.
We were both talking about how, we appreciate everybody who comes up to come to Turtle Beach and drop in, but if we sort of get 4 or 5 groups in a day, it does get a little bit sort of busy.
Oh, yeah. And it gets confusing. Today I have met 6 new people.
That's more than you met the last 20 years.
Well, virtually. That is not much of an exaggeration. You make a joke, but no, I was, for 4 years I was locked in my house.
And you don't
with
even
social
like
anxiety.
people.
I don't, not much. But these people I liked, I can stand anybody for an hour.
Even me.
But it's hard to, like you had said, these 2 guys are retired airline pilots. And I thought, wait, were those the first 2 guys from this morning or the second? I know it wasn't the third because that was a man and a woman,
They do have women pilots
blend,
too,
They do, yes.
Yes.
But they blend together if several groups come in a day. But it is nice to see people, meet all these people and show them, Turtle Beach.
So we're thinking of introducing a admission fee. So it's going to be 10,000 baht to visit Steve.
Farang, 10,000 baht and free for Thais.
And you get paid if you're a young Thai lady.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be...
Typically, yes, that is the pattern. Yes, that is my life so far.
I'm going to be charging 20,000 baht because I'm a bit younger.
Mm-hmm, yeah. And he's a better businessman than I am. He knows the value of his product.
Sure about that. Anyway, tell us where we are today. We're sort of a return visit.
This is Dip Lay to sip coffee by the beach.
Which we're about to do.
Yeah, and this is one of the 2, I think, choices for Farang food here on Turtle Beach. And we are...
Certainly for breakfasts.
Certainly for breakfast, yeah. They do, an egg and toast and bacon breakfast. We are both exhausted, so this is like 50 meters from my front door. So we've been here before. We have been in the roof garden. We did a show from the roof garden, and now we're downstairs because we just can't face the stairs. I'm 65. I'm not going to 3 in the afternoon. I'm not going to climb stairs.
We did attempt to go and record the program earlier, but both those places were closed.
Yeah, their food and beverage outlets were
great
closed.
Research, Steve.
Yeah. I took us all the way 15 minutes away to Koh Kloi, and they were both closed. So yeah,
we'll get there one day. One day.
Yeah.
Still plenty to but we've just had it with. Let's just go down to the coffee shop.
Yeah.
So I
need a cup of coffee really bad.
So we are going to talk about the 2 big news stories this week that have taken up a lot of emotional space in Thai media. We're talking about the Deutsche Welle documentary and then the young Chinese vlogger who's also just ruffled feathers and got herself in trouble. Did you see why she got in trouble?
Well, yeah, she complained that she did not feel safe on Nana Plaza.
No. So I'll bring you up to date with the story.
All right.
Because I know you've got plenty to say on that. But I went to Bangkok this week.
I've heard of it. Bangkok.
Congratulations.
It's in Asia.
Here we go. You got chocolates as well.
I got the only pastry that is already divided into 2. Because last time I was chided for
single cheesecake.
I got a single cheesecake, and there was 1 bite left when he pointed out to me that I'd eaten the whole thing in front of him, and without offering him a bite.
And I'll never forgive him.
And they had brought 2 spoons. They had assumed that I would offer him, and I sat there and ate the whole thing,
people.
And never thought, why is there a spare spoon on this plate? But yeah, these are called power balls. I have no idea what they are, but they have a lot of Germanic-inspired pastry here. The lady who owns this place, I think, was trained in Germany. There's a ton of dark wood furniture here from the Black Forest, so I think she spent time in Germany. But would you like to choose yours? If you don't want to eat on camera, that's fine. I'm going to eat on camera. I need some sugar and caffeine really bad.
Here we go. Mine's I think they're the same inside, but they look different.
Yeah, they're like a macaroon, kind of.
It's very rude to eat on camera. Very rude.
If this is the most rude thing I do during this broadcast, we'll all be lucky.
So, we will get to those topics, but I was going to talk very briefly, because one thing that was just so apparent to me, because when I went to Bangkok, I went to 3 very different parts of the city. As I get the little sesame seeds out of my teeth.
May not have been a great idea. I don't know to eat these, but
I'll just say a word later and you'll talk for 20 minutes and I can finish mine. So it was very apparent to me how lucky Bangkok is to have the BTS and the MRT. It's been in for... Hello, are you with us?
Yeah.
Oh, good. It's playing with the plant there.
It's too beautiful. It looked artificial, but it is real.
The BTS and the MRT, I think the BTS has been around for just over 20 years. MRT a little bit more recent. But it's cheap. It is efficient. It's on time. Scrupulously clean. Very safe. I think it's something that Thailand can be proud of. Because in a country that perhaps is a bit occasionally haphazard and sometimes a bit running like organised chaos.
You are so diplomatic. It's lovely.
It really, I was just going to praise the BTS because I think the whole public transport, the underground and the SkyTrain as they call it, are very, very good. You've travelled with them?
No.
Okay, good. All right.
Yeah, I don't go to Bangkok for any reason at all. I've never been on... Well,
you went there a couple of weeks ago. Because they made a movie about your script.
Oh, that was months and months ago. Yeah.
3 weeks.
Weird experience there. Some guy decided he didn't like Steve Ross and he was this far away from throwing a punch at me. Never met the guy in my life. I don't remember what his name is. But some guy from New Jersey. He was really angry at me after the movie and I have no idea why. I didn't make the movie. I don't know why, but he was ready to clock Steve Ross. Yeah, it was a weird experience.
I know how he feels.
I never have a great experience in Bangkok. I've been on the SkyTrain once. Roy Bott took me, but he took me somewhere on the train. But he did all of the buying the token and getting us on the right train and the right platform. I don't know anything about Bangkok. I don't like the place. I don't go there.
All right.
But I agree. The one time I was on it, it was scrupulously clean. Yeah, and anything to avoid traffic, anything to avoid sitting in a tuk-tuk or a taxi in that stupid traffic.
It's hard to imagine Bangkok operating without the BTS and the MRT
well,
these days.
jetpacks would be the obvious solution. Yes. I give everybody a jetpack.
How would that work, though, when there's a couple of thousand people up there flying?
I don't know, but I want to see it.
Yeah.
I want to be there on the ground watching. I want to see that. Man.
That's why flying cars will never happen, because they'll never be able to figure out how to...
Well, we live here to get to our homes every single time we leave or come back. We go through a 4-way intersection that has no lights, no stop signs, nothing. It's the main road from Phuket to Ranong and Surat Thani, and it's a 4-way intersection and not a single indication of what you're supposed to do. And everybody gets through that,
Well, you give way to the right. That's the road rules. Do you know what the right is? Yes.
Here, that's the rules?
Well, yes.
Yeah, I don't think that's the rules here.
Any 4-way intersection without any give way or stop signs, give way to the right. As an American, it's probably the left standing backwards on your left leg or something. I don't know.
Yeah. That's how we vote.
So let's have a talk about the big topics this week, because I know you've heard a lot about them, but let's just try and unpack a lot of the hysteria that's been around this week. Deutsche Welle last year released it was a previously made documentary by an independent filmmaker, but it was aired on Deutsche Welle. It was called Sex Tourism in Thailand. I mean, pretty obvious what it's going to be about.
Clickbait.
And, it's not... What else are you going to call it?
Yeah, true.
It's sort of, that's what it says on the can, and that's what it was about. And a lot of people watched it, and it was sort of focusing on a case of a man who had rented a 15-year-old girl in Pattaya who was underage, and that he was caught and convicted, and he escaped the country before he could be tried and possibly jailed or whatever was going to happen to him. So the story did focus on the underbelly and some of the darker sides of the sex worker industry in Pattaya. And so when people responded to the documentary, I thought, well, this will be interesting to see what people say about the sort of underage sex workers and this underbelly of Pattaya, and whether it was better or worse in the past, and the way that police and the bar workers and the owners try to sort of keep things under control. No. Deutsche Welle are the
villains.
The villains in the piece.
Yeah.
Because why didn't they make a documentary about German sex tourism? And well, they were making a documentary about sex tourism in Thailand. That's what it said in the title.
Yeah.
But it was amazing just how people decided, no, we won't bother talking about the underage sex workers and the danger that they're in and their plight and how they ended up in that situation, or what we can do to avoid that situation in the future. No, we'll just blame Deutsche Welle.
And
I was
probably,
stunned.
If you go back in their catalog, I'm sure Deutsche Welle has done a documentary on sex tourism in Germany and in Amsterdam and in New York and in Tokyo. I mean, it's sweeps week. You want people to watch. You're going to put a salacious title on it, and you're going to do a controversial, sexy topic.
And Deutsche Welle are a very responsible broadcaster. They're sort of the BBC, PBS, ABC in Australia.
Solid table, folks.
Yes, we've got a solid
In our
table.
continuing weekly survey of cafe furniture on Turtle Beach, this gets 5 stars right here.
Can you describe the tripod that the iPad's sitting on?
It is 7 or 8 paperback books that were here. They have a selection of reading material, magazines, and paperback books, and he's just stacked up. Lee Kuan Yew. There's
one about Lee Kuan Yew.
Fit, Firm, and Beauty. There's some English there.
And one of them, this is a book I'd like to ask about you. The book is called Why Were We Born? So, that's a question I'll pose to you a little bit later in the program, Steve.
Essays on Life. By Buddhadata Bhikkhu. Buddhadata Bhikkhu is probably the most famous Thai monk who's ever lived. I was watching tapes of
You just like
Buddhadata
saying
Bhikkhu.
his name.
Isn't it great? It means slave of the Buddha. Buddhadata
Bhikkhu.
Bhikkhu, I think, means teacher, and Buddhadata is slave of the Buddha.
That's going to be the name of my third beach house, I think.
He in the 80s, he used to have an American monk from Chicago who was his translator, and he would speak in Thai, and the American then would speak in English. So I was listening to Buddhadata Bhikkhu's tapes in New York City in '88, preparing to come here for the first time. I might steal that book when we're done here. Thank you, Abby Hoffman. When we're done here, I might, if it's in English, I might take that home.
But we digress.
Yeah.
So, did you see the documentary? Did you hear anything about it?
No.
Did you read anything about it?
I listen to your show every day. That is my only contact with anything in the world outside of Turtle Beach. And you have been talking about it this week, and so I know what you have broadcast. Other than that, no, I didn't go look. I'm sure if you go look for it, your name gets on a list. I don't want anybody come knocking on my door and showing me my printed out browser history. I don't
Heaven forbid.
Yeah, to catch a predator or something. I don't know. But no, I'm not. I haven't gone. I mean, it's an old story. Someday I'll tell you about James Fraser Darling on Phuket. A guy I knew very well who got sentenced to 50 years for child sex trafficking.
Assumedly, he's still...
No, he is teaching English in an elementary school in China, last I heard. He did 3 years here. He did 3 years in Scotland. His father was knighted. His father was a knight of the realm. And after 3 years in Scotland, the British government let him go. And he came back to Asia. And last I heard, he was teaching English in a Chinese elementary school. So that's why, I mean, it's an old story that never has a happy ending. I'm sorry. Yeah. But I mean, there's also, I once attended an auction in Patong Beach. '89, because I was still on the radio. Somebody called and said, "Oh, you should advertise on the radio. There's an auction of 7 virgins from Korat in Patong Beach tonight." And I said, "Well, I'm not going to put that on the air, but I'll come look." So at midnight, when I got off the air, I went down to Patong Beach, and there were 7 young women from 14 to 19 lined up behind the bar. And they were all selling their virginities. And this was their first night in the sex trade. And they were all selling their virginities in an auction. There were 2 Patong cops there, not to bid, but to make sure the cops got their cut. And there were probably 50 Falang in that room, Falang men, with little index cards and golf pencils. And they would write a number of the girl, and they would write an amount, what they were bidding for her virginity. And these girls were lined up behind the bar, very nervous, except for one. One girl was like vamping it up. And yeah,
was a guy.
So it's an old story, and there's a lot of stories connected to it. So no, I didn't go. Your question was, did I watch the documentary? No, I didn't watch it yet. But good on Deutsche Welle if they did it. They seem not to be aware we're shooting, or uncaring, one or the other. They know I tip. My name in Thai is Lung Tip. Everybody in this town knows I tip. Why are they being so loud? But anyway, no, that I didn't. It's an old story.
And I've had the interesting privilege to work with some of the community workers who are Thai, who do get down to the Bangla roads and the walking streets, and they check these bars, and they find some of these people, and they do try and contact their families. In some cases, you've got the sun right on your mouth.
Huh.
Where's that coming from? Is that a reflection, or is it coming from...
No, it's coming right in the window.
Oh, okay. And in some cases, it's their families who encourage the kids to
Yeah,
do
there was a legend back in the day, I probably apocryphal. But a guy told me in a bar, right?
Has to be true.
Now this is, 30, 40 years ago, that up country, if a little girl was cute, the family would never teach her to cook or plant rice or harvest rice. That it was known she was earmarked for that industry. And so they wouldn't bother to teach her domestic skills. She was never going to wait tables. She was never going to cook or do laundry. This would be her career. And they would groom, the families would groom young women. If they were cute, if they were pretty and poor, they would be groomed this way. Now, I never saw that. That might be apocryphal. This sunlight is really, really bothering me. Yeah. You want to move over there?
But where is it actually coming? Is it coming from the...
Yeah, the sea. It's
sea.
bouncing off the ocean.
Mm. What can we do?
We can move over there. There's no light over there. But that would be a big move.
We'll do it. I'll keep talking while we're doing it. Do you watch how efficient this is?
All right.
So I'm picking up...
Drum roll, Professor. What can I do to help?
You can bring the books that we were... Here we go. We're moving. And you can see a bit of the cafe as we do this. I don't think this is going to be much better. The books first. I just want to move some of the cacti. I believe cacti is the plural. And we'll put that there. And we'll put the mic there. It's all going very well so far. Are you enjoying the program?
No extra for this, folks. This isn't going to cost you extra.
I'm settled. You can bring my phone if you like too. Got the duck. Got to have the duck.
Everywhere I go, the duck goes.
Grumpy Old Men on TNT. Weekly program. Comes out 8 a.m. on Sundays. Okay, so as you take your seat and we've done the move and the sun's going to be coming... No, it's a bit better.
Yeah, it's a little better. Yeah.
Okay. So the other big story this week, we had the Chinese vlogger. This was a woman who decided she'd take a walk down Nana Plaza, Soi 4. And she made a few comments that were, well, I think at least they were fairly exaggerated. It's not safe for women. 99% of the people there are not very nice, I think she said, or said they're bad. And she spoke about a discussion she had with one man that apparently made her feel very unsafe. So,
I had no idea I was intimidating her. I'm sorry, lady. I'm sorry.
The upshot is the police found out who she was. They tracked her down.
Bum, ba-dum, bum, bum.
They even said on the Thursday before they'd found her, we're not exactly sure what we're going to say to her, other than, you shouldn't criticise Thailand. Oh, by the way, this moves a bit. But they found out that she had been selling products online with her TikTok account, and she was on a tourist visa, an elite visa, and she's not allowed to work. So it was the old Al Capone. They didn't catch her on the actual crimes, but on the tax evasion.
We are amazed to learn that there is gambling in the back room. Here's your winnings, sir.
So there you go. So she's been reprimanded. I don't think she's going to be sent home, but she'll probably have to pay a fine. We'll announce that news on Monday. But you've got your own feelings about this woman's plight.
Well, yeah. First of all, the Constitution of this kingdom does not guarantee free speech. It guarantees protections from libel. And if you say anything bad about anybody, they can sue you. And that's an old standard here. But I want to say, this again is another old story. And what strikes me is people who say, this sets a bad precedent. The precedent was set 100 years ago. What do you mean this sets a bad precedent? This happens all the time. You just didn't hear about it. I was taken into a windowless room by the Crime Suppression Division in 1993. They took away my passport and told me if I give the right answers to the questions, they'll give my passport back. That was over something I wrote in the newspaper that was misunderstood completely, and I had to defend myself. I didn't hear any of you guys...
what did you write about?
There was a guy back in the day... Have we got time for this?
Go on.
There was a guy back in the day named Bruce Kassirer. Bruce put out a Xerox newsletter and a book, a self-published book, every year called Travel in the Single Mail. And Bruce was a retired young guy who had tons of millions of dollars from California, unmarried and friendless. And he would go around the world and he would sample the commercial sex industry in all the cities, Moscow, London, Paris, Rome, Bangkok. And he got to Phuket. And he came to the hotel where I was working as PR manager, and he was looking for free rooms. I'll mention you in my book and newsletter, and if you give me a free room and a dinner. And he showed me his book, and I said, no, dude, we don't allow joiners. We're the wrong market for you. Thank you very much. Goodbye. But he and I sat and had a lunch, and we got along. We're both from Southern California. I am originally. And we got along. We were of an age. We were Americans, and we got along okay. Then I read the book, and I was furious at the guy. Because he was writing it himself, publishing himself without an editor, and he got everything wrong. He got the names of streets wrong. He got the names of hotel wrongs. And I wrote a 10,000-word essay about this guy and how he's a terrible writer. And the Nation published it. And some kunying, this is how this always happens. This stuff happens all the time. There are people dissing Thailand on YouTube every damn day.
Sure.
But unless some kunying reads about it in Dichan magazine and says to her police commissioner husband, oh, you must do something about this. This is bad for Thailand. And he goes, yes, dear. And he tells a subordinate, and that subordinate tells a subordinate, and eventually you get to some cop who doesn't have subordinates, and he's got to go out and deal with it, having never read the article, having never seen the YouTube video, and what he comes up with is tax evasion, right? That's his solution to the problem. But unless that Kunying reads about it in Dichan magazine, the Thais don't know it exists, and they don't care. But Bruce Kassirer, among the things I quoted, he said, you will never find a hooker on Soi Bangla older than 16, because the older girls can't compete with all the new 16-year-olds who come on the game every day. Well, some Kunying read this and said, this is a very bad look. I had reproduced it because it's completely inaccurate. And as an editor, I red-penciled it. I said, no, you can't say that. It is inaccurate. honest to God, the morality of it at the time, yeah, I was about the language. I was about the reportage, about the journalism. And at any rate, somebody read this, and the word came down. Now the Crime Suppression Division, the CSD. Oh, sorry. They were the only clean cops in Thailand. You had to be very wealthy to be in the CSD because they didn't take bribes. And the only way you can survive as a cop without taking bribes is to be born wealthy. And so these three cops had big Rolexes on their wrist and tailored clothes, no uniforms, and big gold rings and shit like that. And finally, they got somebody who could read English who read the article and said, no, Steve isn't saying this Bruce guy. So they blacklisted Bruce, and he could never come back to Thailand. So he started sending me threatening emails. But anyway, all this shit's going on in 93. So this is not new. You can be put in jail for having a copy of The Devil's Discus in your pocket, for having a copy of The King Never Smiles, for having a copy of The King and I. That's all lèse majesté in this country. In Bangkok Editor in 1949, Alex MacDonald writes about the government putting pressure on him about what he could and could not say in the Bangkok Post. And he only got away with that stuff because he was head of CIA. And in 1949, he was paying American dollars to everybody in a uniform in this country. So he got away with saying a lot of stuff in that newspaper and in his memoir. But it's an old story. It goes on all the time. Andrew Drummond. 10 years ago, Andrew Drummond got kicked out of this country.
Drummond out of the country?
Yeah, for what I think he's in Cambodia now. The guy knows Thailand back to front. The guy is a really skilled journalist. He's got cred.
I was so surprised he lasted in Thailand as long as he did.
Yeah, he took a lot of risk. Yeah,
Very
he did.
surprised.
He did. But anyway, this is an old story, you guys, and saying, oh, this is going to affect tourism. No, it's not. No, it's not. This sets a bad precedent. No, it doesn't. The precedent was set 100 years ago. As soon as there were newspapers, as soon as there was a radio station in this country, the government started controlling what could be said and could not be said.
Speaking about radio stations, what radio station were you on all those years ago?
89.5, is it?
Okay. So
that's it. megahertz.
Live 89.5.
Yeah. From the top of Khao Rang, I had to drive up the mountain, Khao Rang Mountain, every night to broadcast. I did a 3-hour show. Days. I did a 3-hour show, an hour of classic rock and roll, and then the BBC World Service, and then an hour of disco. Yeah. And it was 88, and then the BBC World Service, and then an hour of heavy metal, the Headbangers Ballroom, and and the only show I ever recorded was the night that Saddam Hussein rolled his tanks into Kuwait in '91. And so the only recording I have of me on the radio of the BBC World Service is talking about Saddam Hussein rolling into Kuwait. And it eventually was that war that drove me out of Thailand for a year and cost me the love of my life. So it all began on that night.
There
Karma, baby. Yeah, kismet.
So
anyway, that's my thoughts on this story.
Okay, my problem with it is that suddenly...
Tim, what are your thoughts? I'm really bad at this, you guys.
Now, every time I'm about to sit down and say something about Thailand, I'm going to be going, gee, what about that Chinese vlogger who got into trouble with the police? It's a shame when you're just going to make some sort of comment or criticism, be it legitimate or otherwise, that suddenly you're going to have to measure your comments more carefully. I'd like to think that I measure my comments carefully anyway. But the idea of not being able to criticise something, this is a really bad pad thai. Well, that's a private situation, I suppose. But if you're having a go at the reputation of a country, I don't really think she was.
No.
Exaggerated?
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah, she was looking for clicks. She was looking for clicks. Yeah, that's all she was doing.
But they caught her on, you don't have a work permit, honey, so we're going to wrap you on the knuckles.
Yeah.
She'll pay 2,000 or 3,000 baht fine.
Something unconnected with what I'm actually angry at you. That's called kicking dogs, right? You never openly confront somebody about what you're angry about. You needle them about something else to let them know you're dissatisfied. And what damage is it going to do? Does this mean more single Chinese women are not going to walk on Nana Plaza at 2 a.m? How many single Chinese women were doing that anyway? How is that going to hurt business? And honest to God, I don't think any blogger, I'm not going to start thinking about what I'm saying about Thailand. I'm not. I mean, I didn't when Andrew Drummond was kicked out of this country. I didn't when Longman's Dictionary, 86, Longman's Dictionary, in their definition of Bangkok, a place with many prostitutes. That was the dictionary definition for this one dictionary. Have you ever heard of Longman's Dictionary?
No, I haven't.
No. But suddenly in 86, everybody had, because their representative was kicked out of this country. Their publisher, all the books published by their publisher were taken off the shelves to save the face, because they insulted the Kingdom of Thailand. Well, did you know? Did you know this happened?
No.
30 years ago? No. 30 years from now, nobody's going to know this Chinese chick got in trouble. I mean, we're just going to keep doing what we're doing. As long as the Kunying doesn't hear about it,
do you think
fine.
she was correct? Is it safe to walk down Soi 4 late at night as a woman?
I don't presume to guess how women feel. I think women probably have a right to feel threatened almost anywhere they go. But I don't think it's dangerous. Plenty of women leave work at Nana Plaza at 2, 3, 4 in the morning and walk alone down that street and go home. And, it's the whole industry is sanitized in Bangkok because they want the tourists to feel safe coming. Even if you're not going to pay for sex, they want you to come have a drink in Nana Plaza, take a selfie in Nana Plaza, tell all your friends, giggle, giggle, giggle. Oh, I went to this place where it's all out in the open. It's all out in the open. They want you to come. So the cops have a real heavy presence there, and they keep the whole thing. Any cowboy, Nana, Patong, it's all locked down and sanitized, really, really, really safe and clean for foreigners' consumption. Yeah, I don't think anybody's unsafe. I've seen plenty of Falang laying in the gutter, drunk out of their minds. I don't see anybody going through their pockets while they're laying there. I think you're as safe there as you are anywhere in Las Cruces, New Mexico.
What is something, changing the topic, that you haven't seen in Thai Muang?
Pretty good. Yeah, you're getting there. It's a question. Muang?
That you are surprised you have never seen before? It's a very stupid question.
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand
Neither am I.
the question.
It's so late in the afternoon. Oh, what a day. Okay, so I was driving, just to cut to the story, I was trying to segue. It didn't work. So I was driving to Phuket yesterday to go and get some stuff. And just driving out of the town past the Shell station, there were two people on the side of the road, backpacks, finger out. They were hitchhiking.
Farang?
Yes.
Good luck, guys.
Two young foreigners.
Okay.
And I thought, now that is something you just don't see that
Never
often
seen that in
Thailand.
Thailand. Never seen that in Thailand.
Really?
I don't think so. I
I've
cannot
seen
remember.
it before myself, but it's very rare.
Yeah.
Certainly in Australia, you'd see it a lot more commonly.
Keep talking.
And but these were, two young people, backpacks on. It would have been a 30-year-old male and female. And you got seeds all over the place?
No, I turned on the fan.
Oh, right. Okay, there you go.
That is my fan. I brought that here 18 months ago and left it here for my use, and they have kept it for my use. Yeah.
I'm a fan of yours, Steve. Don't you worry.
I've never seen anybody hitchhiking here. Well, that's not true. I actually picked up a young man who was stumbled drunk.
Sure you want to talk about this?
Yeah, I was driving my motorcycle. I was going to go to Khao, and under the pedestrian bridge, there was this young man in a school uniform going like this. And I stopped, and he said, "Can you take me home? I have to go home, and I don't have a car. I don't have any money. Can you take me home?" And he was obviously drunk, and he stunk of beer. It was like a 19-year-old kid in one of these college uniforms. I said, yeah, where do you live? He said, down here, not far, down here. And it ended up being halfway to Khao. But this kid sat on the back of my motorcycle and breathed beer over my shoulder. And we got there, and he got off the bike, and he gave me a big Y, and he went across the street and went home. That's the only time I can think of that anybody, bummed a ride off me or I saw anybody by the side of the road. And he was insistent. It was like he recognized me. He knew who I was. He was going like this.
And you're inclined to pick him up. I mean...
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
If you were driving a car past these two people yesterday, they looked clean and they didn't look threatening, but would you have stopped and picked them up?
Farang? No. Thai, yeah. I got no time for Farang.
Okay.
What?
So I drove past them. I was thinking to myself, should I pick them up? But generally in Australia, I wouldn't have picked up hitchhikers because there is the odd, hitchhiker murder. And so
Thanks
I thought,
for the ride.
yeah, I just decided not to. They could still be there this morning, as far as I know. I have no idea. But
Yeah.
would a Thai be inclined to pick up a foreign
I haven't a
hitchhiker?
clue. I have no idea. I did see walking that same direction down that same road about a year ago 4 Arab guys with backpacks just walking. They weren't hitchhiking. And I tried to stop and ask them, where the hell are you going? Because that road just goes out in the country. And eventually you get to Phuket, but you can't walk in a day from here to Phuket.
Oh,
I
hell
don't think
no.
so. And I tried to stop. They didn't speak any English. They didn't speak any Thai. There's just 4 happy-go-lucky Arab guys with big beards walking down the road with backpacks. So I was on the motorcycle. I couldn't give them a ride, but they seemed happy to be where they were, and where they were going. Yeah, in Turtle Beach, 4 random Arab guys walking down the road. One thing that is unusual, I don't know if it's what you were fishing for, but the fact that there are ramshackle, broken down houses on this beach road, 50 meters from the beach. If this was Phuket property, those would be $1 million condos. Here, they're piles of brick and cement, and stray dogs live in them. That strikes me as unusual.
Until an Australian comes along.
Yeah, there's some
Idiot.
There's an Australian born every minute.
Yeah. So this week, and I showed a little bit of video this morning, they're building tents, and we've got just out here, we've got a tower, which is going to have a rotating neon sign on it. We're going to have music. Is that thunder I can hear?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's
The
sunny
remnants
over
of the
there.
rainy season, I
Yeah.
guess. The sun is bright. I don't know where it's coming
So
from.
we have, we've been watching them put this festival together all week, we really have no idea what they're celebrating, or the locals have no idea. You ask all the locals, even these owners here, what's happening? We don't know.
Yeah, the waitress last night told me it was a New Year's celebration, but it ends on December 23rd. It's a New Year's celebration that ends a week before the New Year. So I don't know. And they also celebrate the Thai New Year on Songkran, and they celebrate the Chinese New Year in February. And so this is the Farang New Year, and I get that. I used to MC the hotel's New Year's party is on Phuket. But it seemed like she was pulling something out of a hat.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. A New Year's party. Really?
Yeah. So there's going to be Thai celebrities, Thai musicians. There's going to be a market. There's going to be
Shopping.
lots of food.
Shopping.
Shopping.
They've
They've got a shop
Shopping.
already set up which has got timber furniture, which you would need a crane to lift.
Yeah.
Let alone just dropping in saying, I think I'll have that table and taking it home with you. You
built
ain't
out of this same wood.
what,
You know
teak?
that red. Is this teak? Do we
I
think?
don't know, probably it's a teak.
It's that red, heavily varnished.
Really
lawn
heavily
furniture.
varnished.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have seen them get it off the truck
Oh, yeah.
because the table is like that thick.
Yeah, and it's like 20 feet long.
Yeah, yes.
It's a conference table. It's huge and,
And the
long.
legs are just as thick. And I'm not exaggerating.
No. And it has 2 20-foot long benches next to it. If you've ever tried to get in and out of a bench seat at a big long table, when you can't move what you're sitting on.
When you're in the middle.
Yeah, and you're in the middle and you got to, pardon me, excuse me, pardon me. Yeah, they seem, I don't know who would buy that
You
or for
tuck
what
your
purpose.
knees up and you just
Roll backwards.
Back foot.
Tuck and roll. Elbows out,
Yep,
tuck and roll.
That's the way to do it. So that's all I got to talk about this week. So we might finish by doing an excerpt out of Very Thai.
All right, and I am
Oh,
going
we're
to
not
steal.
gonna-
No, but I am going to steal this book. That is Buddhadata Bhikkhu.
Is
That's-
that the actual person?
Yeah, that's Buddhadata Bhikkhu. Oh, he's hugely famous. You'll see this guy's picture everywhere. He's one of the most popular common monks. He's a southern monk. He was from Surat Thani. His meditation center was called Suan Mok. The Garden of Suan Mok, I forget. But anyway, this guy's hugely popular, and I'm going to steal his book because it's in English. Yeah. You want a topic out of what
Very
did
Thai.
I bring? Very Bangkok.
Oh, God, Very Bangkok. where I was
by
earlier
Philip
this week.
Cornwell Smith. We love this book. This is,
By the way,
my favorite.
Suvarnabhumi Airport was packed, as was the plane in both directions. A lot of people coming to Thailand for the high season. And I checked yesterday the prices of some airfares for next April. I'm not travelling in April next year, that's all I can tell you. My God, it's expensive to travel at the moment.
Yeah, and it's so uncomfortable.
Aren't we
I mean,
lucky?
I
We
hate
actually
planes.
live on a beach that people pay thousands of dollars a day to come and visit. Well, not this beach, but other beaches.
The royal presence.
With an E-N...
I'm
Given what's happened this week, maybe we don't talk about
maybe
that.
we don't, but the current monarch did come to Phuket. The King's Cup Regatta is still a thing.
With the Queen?
He came with his, I think...
And she was steering the boat. I saw her on the tiller.
All right.
They were sailing a TP-52.
Now, what I've discovered here...
Oh, yes. Oh, I know my boats.
Yeah. I only know books. This is all about Bangkok. I don't know the first thing about Bangkok. Why did I bring...
Dan, come on, do what you usually do and just pick one at random. Don't try and find something that you are knowledgeable about.
Color. Well, this is the same thing we did.
We did the
days.
colours.
The days
Colour
of the week.
days.
The days of the week. What's today's? What's Saturday?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Purple. Today's
purple. Today's purple.
Yeah. Well, that's something interesting. Colors are not segregated by gender here. I've mentioned on my channel the only guy close to a mafioso that I've met here, Naklang, a hard guy, who I only know was Naklang because everybody else in the broccoli store was terrified of this guy. And I sat there with him for half an hour and we talked in English and he seemed fine. But everybody else was like kowtowing to this guy. And he's wearing, again, big gold watch, a lot of gold jewelry, a dozen amulets around his neck. And he was carrying a pink Hello Kitty shoulder bag. And I said, nice bag. He said, yeah, my daughter bought it and she never used it. So I just took it. It's a great bag. It's got a lot of pockets. Got zippers are real strong and sturdy.
Hello Kitty.
Yeah, Hello Kitty. It does a pink Hello Kitty bag. So on Saturday, the toughest guy in the room will wear a purple shirt, a violet shirt. If he follows the color calendar, that's what he'll do. Men here are not. Everybody's got a story about seeing two cops sitting one in the other's lap with their arms around each other, or holding hands, or hooked pinkies. The cops with the big guns on their side, and they're doing things that in the West we would not associate with a tough guy. It's just different standards. These guys live in a world where that stuff's not stigmatized.
And you'll see some of the older teenage boys who would be walking down the street arm in arm. Nothing sexual about it. They're just good mates.
Yeah.
And they don't seem to grow out of that until well into their 20s. So they don't seem to suffer these same stigmas that a lot of Western countries have on kids and their sexuality.
That stigma is reserved for intergender. That same boy will never touch a woman in public in his whole life. He'll live with a woman. He'll marry a woman, love her to death, have children with her, live with her for 50 years, and never touch her in public. Mm-hmm. And in the West, coming from the West, that surprised me after living here 7 years, and I went home to Iowa. And oh my God, it's a college town, right? The University of Iowa. And it is not uncommon. I used to, when I had insomnia, I'd walk around town at 2 or 3 in the morning. And downtown in the bar district, it's a college town, so just off campus, there's a couple streets of bars. And the bars would close at 2 a.m. And the young couples would go to the park or go to the quad or wherever, and they'd make out, and sometimes it would lead to, it's 3 in the morning now, they're both hammered, and I'd be walking alone through a dark city, and there'd be 2 people up against the wall having, and I did a lot of physical touching in the States that here, no. So it's different stigma, different strokes for different folks. Sure. Am I waving my hands around too much?
You are a bit.
That's the caffeine.
And
That's the caffeine and my mother's influence.
I was going to ask why you have paint all over your hands.
That is what's called joint compound. It's an enamel, latex product.
Oh, for joining things.
Yeah,
God, cool.
In a culture where you joint compound.
What?
In a culture where you would you insulate a home, you would have what's called drywall in America.
Right.
4x8 panels of drywall,
Yep.
and where these drywall panels meet, you would hide that joint with a smear of this stuff. It's very fast drying, super, super strong and waterproof. So these paper mache turtle shells that I'm making to decorate the parade float that I will enter in the Turtle Day Parade.
3 months to go.
They are 3 months to go. They are a water solid. They're just glue and paper, glue and cardboard pulp, and they get wet in the rain and they fall apart. So I seal them with the joint compound, and that also gives a much smoother surface for painting. But it does not come off your hands. You can't wash. Turpentine won't take it off. Soap and water won't take it off. You just have to let your skin slough off underneath it.
Wear it off.
So I've always got, well, anyway, I've always got,
There you go, bit there. Bit of paint.
yeah.
So that keeps you busy, making turtles out of paper mache.
Among other things, yeah.
Sure.
And this time of year, the beach is extremely clean.
Oh, we can't have that.
I know, yeah. Honest to God, I am disappointed now. If I go out on the beach twice a day. There's 2 tides a day, so I go out on the beach twice a day.
I go out on the beach once a day, and I go for a swim every day.
Yeah, I'm never going to do that.
Ah, come on.
No, never. But I am disappointed now if there's not an ankle-deep drift of trash on the beach because I got nothing to pick up.
So one thing that you have started, this is moving around a bit, isn't it? Sorry for the bouncing, but Steve wanted to move tables. Blame him. So
There's no more sun. We could move back.
No, we're not moving back.
Hang on, we're moving back.
No, we're not moving back. So I was going to ask you this week, it was the big week. It was the big countdown for Steve to get back on his bike after your...
bicycle, he means.
After your
Yeah.
sort of facelift.
Yeah.
So tell us what happened with the...
Well, yeah, I haven't been on the bicycle for 2
what?
months. 2 months.
But you did go this week?
No.
Oh, what happened?
I did. Well, the 6th was the surgeon said I had a hernia repair, and the surgeon said wait a month. And I had been off the bike a month. He had said don't ride till I fix your hernia. So I'd been off the bicycle a month. He said give it another month. I waited. That was December 6th, was the 2nd month anniversary.
And we heard about it every day. December
Yeah.
the 6th. December the 6th.
Yeah, and I spaced it. I forgot. So December 7th, a day that will live in infamy. I get the bike out, I put on the helmet, I got my riding togs, I got my riding shoes, I put on my gloves, I get on the bike, I go 10 feet down the street, and I look down, there's no air in the tires. This bike has sat mocking me in the corner of my living room for 60 days, and the air is gone from the tires. So Chamdan took it in the Samlaw to Kun O, who is our bicycle repair guy, and hopefully Chamlong is picking it up right now.
I've got a thing at home. So you can-
Thing?
Yeah.
Well, no, the chain also, living this close to the ocean, I get the thing serviced every 2 months anyway.
Here's the storm coming. What, you ready? Look, there it is. That's the storm, just up in that direction.
Oh, that's the thunder we're hearing.
That's the thunder we're hearing.
Wow, these
Yes.
kids and their machines. But at any rate, I'm looking forward tomorrow to getting back on.
Okay.
And
You mightn't be able to get through once they close that street off. You'll have to go around
there's
the
a
back.
second street, yeah. But typically this road, even during the Veg Festival or the Turtle Festival, is kept open like up until 7 in the morning and after 1 in the morning. I think it's open to traffic when they're not actively selling products under the tent. But at any rate, yeah, I have missed it. It's typically the first 3 hours of my day is an hour on the bicycle, an hour walking on the beach, and an hour on the bicycle coming home. And I very much miss it. I can feel my body kind of becoming pasty and soft.
Grotesque and
all the weight I've lost. I don't know, 20 pounds in 18 months. I can
coming back.
Yes. Adipose cells never go away. Once you've grown adipose cells, they will shrink to almost nothing. But as soon as you start consuming more calories than you're burning, they'll start storing energy again and they'll swell back up. And you can easily gain back all the weight you've lost. So I very much want to get back on it for health and for fun. I haven't had a cigarette since Thanksgiving.
I'm very proud
If
of you.
anybody's interested, yeah. So what is that, 2.5 weeks, something like that?
Very impressive,
Yeah.
Steve.
Oh,
Very
yeah,
impressive.
It's been hell. I've hated every minute of it.
But you're still other things?
Broccoli? Oh, hell yeah. As soon as you turn this camera off, baby. Because I don't smoke before we do this. So it's quite late in the day for Steve to be starting. And yeah, as soon as you turn this camera off, baby.
So somehow we got the program finished.
Turn it off.
We're saying goodbye. And by the way, Steve has his own YouTube channel.
Oh, yeah.
And it's Steve Ross, and it's got an E on the end.
R-O-S-S-E.
Can't
5
miss it.
letters in Steve, 5 letters in Ross. It's symmetrical. We like that.
And
5 is a strong number in numerology.
in the description below, there is also an email if you'd like to contact Steve or get in contact with him to
Buy merch.
Get some of the merch.
It's Chamnan's merch. My visa doesn't allow me to sell anything. It's Kun Chamnan's merch. But it's all made out of trash off Turtle Beach.
And also an invitation from me to subscribe to this channel.
It's worth it. His daily reports are magnificent.
I'm
sorry.
trying to get, thank you.
I'm sorry.
You're absolutely right.
That's the latte.
And I'm trying to get to 30,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So do the right thing. Help me get to 30,000.
I'm trying to get to 5. Help me get to 5.
Well, I've been doing it longer than you, so you'll get
And
past
your
me
show's
very
better.
quickly.
Yeah, your show's better.
Different. This is different. Thanks for dropping in. And we'll see you next week. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. I love you guys. Goodbye. Shall I push the button? I'm closer.
You push the button.
All right. 1, 2, 3.